Hey everyone, it's Keely here for Soy and Shea, and thank you so much for joining me for today's soap making video where we're going to go and make the third of the 4 Halloween soaps I have on offer. Now this soap has been inspired by a very popular movie which a new release has just come out in the cinemas for as well, and this is called Sandworm. Now I'm going for a little bit of a different vibe rather than going for that sort of black and white stripe that I see a lot of people doing when they do this sort of theme. I decided to kind of capture that real sand dune sort of environment that the two characters are being chased in. I'm not going to say the name of the movie because I might get into trouble for it. If you know, if you've seen any of my previous videos, you know that I don't usually do soaps which are inspired by movies, books, etc. because of property licensing rules. But on this one I did make an exception for a couple of reasons which I explain later on in the video. Now with this video, when I was doing my Halloween soaps, I was on a real time crunch, and by the time it got to that point of making this soap, I had the shop open and I couldn't do any talking. So I've done a little bit of a voiceover, but there is a lot of music that goes along with this video as well. So I hope you enjoy watching, and let's go and see how I make my sandworm soap. Let's go. So the first thing I'm going to do is make the sandworms to go on the top of the soap, and this was the easiest way I found to make them. I did try several ways, like kind of putting the black and the white soap dough together in little chunks, and it just wouldn't work. So I found the easiest way was to get some white soap dough and roll it out into a thin sausage shape, and then I measured it and cut it into the size pieces that I needed for my sandworms. Now I've made them a little bit smaller because we're going to roll them out a little bit more in a bit, and that will stretch them a bit more. What I've now got is some black soap dough which I rolled out to be about 1 mil, if not less, in thickness, and I've just cut off some thin pieces and I'm wrapping them around that white soap dough. Now it is a little bit lumpy and bumpy when you do it this way, so now what we're going to do is roll it back out until that black soap dough smooths into the white. Then I'm going to give it a little bit of a bend and we have our little sandworms. So I'm just going to keep doing this over and over again until I end up with all 18. So now we can move on to making the soap, and as always I'm pouring my lye water into my oils just gently to avoid splashback, and once I've got it mixed just to emulsion, I'm going to separate it out for some colours. I have some Tutti Frutti, we've got some bronze mica, and we've got some resplendent gold, which is a nice rich deep gold, and I will be colouring the base of this soap using a much lighter gold colour. Now I'm not sure what this fragrance oil is going to do. You can see it over in the background there, and it's quite dark in colour. It's actually called Killer Python, and I chose this one because it's just sweet and fruity, and I figured worms, killer pythons, same sort of thing. If you don't know what a killer python is, over here in Australia it is a lolly, and they're basically a snake lolly, but it's probably about 10 times the size. They're really sweet and fruity, and this fragrance smells just like them. Now that I've got all the colours mixed into it, it's time to get pouring into here, and I am going to aim for a curly whirly pour, but this has remained really fluid, so I'm not sure if we're really going to get a nice curly whirly, but we'll give it a go. So let's continue pouring everything in, and then once I've got all that soap in the mold, we will pop our little sandworm embeds on the top. So that is Sandworm in the mold. It is looking really good. Loving those colors. Hopefully we've got some real curly whirlies in there. I must admit it was really nice to have a good playing fragrance oil this time, but I did have to leave it sit for about 10 minutes before I could put my embeds on this time round. But we're going to leave it sit here overnight. We'll be back very soon and we'll take a look on the inside. Alright, we are about to cut into Sandworm, and it's smelling really good. It's got that sort of sweet smell to it. And I just had to share. So I made this soap my time yesterday. When we got home yesterday and you know, we cooked dinner, we settled down for the night to watch a bit of TV and stuff. We watched all of our sort of regular shows that we watch, and then it was kind of like those last few minutes before heading off to bed. So hubby switched the channel over, and guess what was on the TV? And we got to it just in time to see that classic dinner party scene that has to be my all-time favorite scene in there, probably like so many others. So I did watch that and a little bit more of the movie, but then my eyes started to close on me, so I had to go to bed. But oh, this is look at those curly wellies. This was because it was so fluid, but there is my Sandworm soap in there. Oh goodness gracious, really pleased with those swirls, especially considering the first two Halloween soaps I made, the fragrance oil accelerated on me and we had bits of disaster. So this one actually went really well, and I am loving those swirls. It's really giving that sort of chaotic feel of that sort of scene in the movie where they're running around in all the sand dunes and the sandworm is chasing them. Now, as I said at the start of this video, I don't usually do soaps which are inspired by things, but I think this is just one little exception, because my sort of reasoning is sandworms were actually in other fictional novels as well, other sort of horror sci-fi novels, and sandworms are actually something here in Australia that can be used as fishing bait. So if anyone asks, this is my fishing bait soap. Anyway, that is my Sandworm soap. If you want to see whether or not this fragrance oil affects the colour of this soap and makes it go any darker, then come and follow me over on Instagram, and I'll be posting pictures of this one when it is ready. So I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me as I make my Sandworm soap. If you did, why not leave me a thumbs up and any comments down below. And until the next video comes out, I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you then. Bye.